Hello and welcome to another episode of Leah Talks. Today we are joined by Claire. So, Claire, can you just introduce yourself? Let us know who you are and what you do.
Yeah, of course. So hi, everyone. I'm Clare Gent. I'm originally from the UK, but I currently live in Spain, up in the mountains in the Pyrenees. And I'm a yoga teacher.
Wow. So, what made you do the move from the UK to Spain?
Yeah, well, not funny story. I guess I was living in London for 4 years, I think it was. I'm not originally from London. I'm from like a tiny little village. My parents are farmers, so I actually hated the city and I never wanted to live there. And then I ended up moving to London, as many people maybe do post-university, um, and stayed there for 4 years. And I mean, London's a special place. For me personally, it kind of chewed me up and spat me out. And I had to make a change. And that change, I'd always been quite interested in other cultures, and I never did an Erasmus at uni. And I was always quite envious of my friends who had the opportunity to do that. So yeah, I decided to book a one-way ticket to Barcelona and leave it all behind, and I haven't really looked back since.
Wow, that's a very big change. How long have you been in Spain?
I've been here since 2018, so it's 2025 now, 7 years.
Wow. Yeah. So, you did the whole
Yeah.
move before Brexit and before everything became a little bit more cool.
Yeah, luckily, and before the pandemic and all of that kind of stuff. So yeah.
So, did you go over there single on your own?
Yeah, I was single. I was living in London. I obviously had like friends in London. I knew one friend in Barcelona who I did end up actually flat sharing with, and that was a real help just to have like one kind of friendly face to be with and kind of like a solid base. But otherwise, I didn't know anything. I didn't before I moved to Barcelona. I had no idea that people actually spoke Catalan and not always Spanish.
Mhm.
Um, I just knew that it was a kind of fun city that was near the beach as well. And it was only about 2 hours away from home. So if anything went wrong, I could always come back.
Yes, amazing. So this stuff always fascinates me because a couple years ago, me and my husband were going to move to Portugal, and
Oh.
we had all this planned out. And so I know the difficulties about moving to another country. Unfortunately, we couldn't sell our house. And then my husband managed to get a different job, still in England, but somewhere else. So we've just ended up moving basically in England. And all that's gone out the window. But it always fascinates me because I know the journey of trying to move abroad and how how much is involved. It's a really big thing to up and move yourself to different countries. So did that, I mean, you're a yoga teacher anyway. Were you a yoga teacher before you moved to Spain?
No, no,
Oh,
I
so you did that
wasn't. I was
there.
working in marketing. Yeah.
Wow. So how
Yeah.
did you get into
Kind of
yoga teaching?
it kind of came with all the change, I guess. I studied psychology at university, so I was always interested in relationships with people and kind of having that wider healing perspective, I guess, in a way. Um, I first started doing yoga with Bikram yoga actually when I was living in Bournemouth. And then when I was in London, I kind of got into health. I mean, wasn't very healthy. Maybe the typical way that a lot of people get into wellness and health through exercise. And it actually developed a really, really unhealthy eating disorder and kind of over exercise relationship, basically. And I found yoga through that as my kind of gentle day.
Mhm.
Basically, it was a way to still keep moving my body and feel like I was being active, feel like I was being productive, but in a way that I didn't have to go to, I don't know, like a Barry's boot camp or a crazy spin class or whatever it was, whatever I was doing at that time. Um, and yeah, that was really like where the journey with yoga started, honestly, kind of finding that stillness, finding that 1 hour just for me where I could just switch off my brain. Um, and through that, yoga kind of always stayed with me. When I moved to Spain, I continued working in marketing, but I knew that I wanted to do something a bit different. I wanted to help people I don't know, more one-on-one, a deeper connection, that kind of full healing level. And it was actually, I'm thinking about this now, it was kind of the pandemic, there was a big shift because we moved from living in Barcelona to then moving up here to a tiny little village in the mountains where everyone spoke Catalan and I spoke no Catalan. So that was very challenging. And with that came like a change of career. I started teaching English, and then I realized, okay, I love teaching, but I'm not super passionate about English. And this little voice had always been with me about why not be a yoga teacher, but maybe like so many people, you kind of have imposter syndrome, you don't think you're good enough, you don't look the part, etc., etc. And eventually, I think 2021 it was, yeah, I signed up for a yoga teacher training, and it was the best thing that I've ever done.
Yes, it changes your life, doesn't it?
Yeah, completely.
So did the yoga help with the unhealthiness of the London life with all the exercising and everything else?
Yeah, hugely. Oh my gosh, I would not be here right now, I don't think, honestly, if I hadn't had yoga kind of looking after my back. Because yeah, I mean, amongst the eating disorder, I fell into depression, and so it was just that mid to late 20s scenario where you're just super lost with yourself, really disconnected to your body, feel constantly comparing yourself, I think, as well. Like nowadays, Instagram and all the social media channels, really fuel the idea of things that you should be doing or how you should look, especially for kind of vulnerable young women. And having that connection with yoga where I could just get onto the mat and just tune it back inwards and really realize, okay, what do I actually need? Not what I should be doing, but what do I need deep down? Giving myself that space and just knowing that every day was a different day. I think that's just the beauty of yoga, right? You think you've nailed this perfect pose or this asana or even this breath work, and then you go to do it like the next day and it's completely changed. Your body has changed, the level of flexibility has changed, your strength, your mindset, your balance, everything. And that was just so kind of forgiving, and I don't know, just held me in such a nourishing way, just allowing myself just to accept myself, who I was. Yeah, and that was the idea that I took from yoga, and from when I lived in London, I guess in 2015, I moved there, I think, and then 2018 I left. So those sort of 3 pivotal years where I kind of crashed and burnt. Until now, yoga has held me through all of those different challenges.
Yeah, it is such a powerful practice. I think it takes a lot. Like you, I got into it through, oh, I just want that on my gentler days and I want to get more flexible. But then you end up getting sucked into the actual yoga. And then yeah, it just takes over your life. And yeah, it's such an amazing practice. So I know that do you have one child?
Yes. Yeah. Just
And
one.
how has so you had her over in Spain then?
Yes.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
how has your yoga journey been like with your daughter as well? Because I know for me, it's changed how I parent.
Completely. I mean, yeah, my own personal yoga practice completely changed. I actually discovered yoga nidra through having her and needing to get some kind of reset of the nervous system, I guess, in a way, no, and also some kind of sleep situation happening. It really supported me so much through even pregnancy insomnia, as well as just those crazy days of sleep deprivation that you have in early motherhood. And then, yeah, I think now I'm so much more compassionate to myself about my physical practice, because I know that some days you don't have time, like just being honest, life happens. You've had a toddler who's been up all night, and or they're sick, or your plans change and everything goes out the window, and you just have to hold it and be like, okay, it's fine. Yoga is not just physical practice, it's actually like the deeper being present, being connected to yourself. And it's helped me massively. I mean, it's helping me so much through toddler tantrums for sure, the latest challenge of how to kind of keep a track on my emotions. I think it's really easy in those toddler tantrum moments to get really triggered and really alerted, and then kind of fight back based off that like red alert situation. And actually having those tools of yoga is like, okay, no, just stop, just breathe, just tune in. Okay, what are you feeling? Do you need to go and get a glass of water? Do you need to, I don't know, go to the loo? Just like basic needs, that maybe haven't been met. And then how can you hold space for this little one who's really trying to navigate all of these complex emotions?
Yes. Yeah. That just brought memories back to me of when mine was little. And I remember the midwife coming round, and she started crying. So straight away I picked her up ready to breastfeed her. And the midwife was like, whoa, 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 get yourself ready first. Like, she can wait a minute while you sort yourself out. Go get yourself a drink, get yourself a snack, get the remote next to you, then feed her, because as soon as she's on, she's going to be on for half an hour. It was
Yeah.
that moment of, oh yeah, like, it's not going to do her any harm to wait 30 seconds while I sort myself out, because otherwise, yeah, you start getting stressed yourself or dehydrated. So yeah, just those memories flying back. So how is it raising a child in a different country? Because that was one of my biggest worries about when we were going to move to Portugal. I'm very glad that we've ended up staying here, because I've since found out that my daughter has possibly got ADHD. She needs speech therapy and all of this. And I'm thinking, oh my God, to have had to have dealt with that in another country
Yeah.
would have been insane. So how is it for you raising her there?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it's definitely challenging. It's obviously a personal choice of mine to be here. So that's something I can always come back to of, it's not life has forced me into this position. I've actively chosen to be in this country, in this culture, and I really embrace and love this culture because I feel like you can be much more open, much more expressive, much more vulnerable than you can be in the UK. Maybe things have changed now, but from when I was younger, it was definitely not like that. And I love that space, and that's kind of the space that I want to bring up our family in. That being said, there's obviously the language barrier, which is challenging. I have learnt a lot of the language purely through survival, because otherwise you just sit in social situations saying nothing and people think that you're boring, or well, the little voice inside your head says, oh, I'm boring, I have nothing to add, I can't communicate, no one understands me. And so there's those challenges. And then little kind of cultural nuances are also very interesting to understand of, I don't know, just like really subtle things that you just wouldn't even realize existed until you're in that situation with other families and you're noticing that. I guess like the logistical side of stuff, it's pretty much the same, right? You have the pediatricians, you have like the regular, I don't know, check-ins, the hospital visits, etc., etc. So and the school system is more or less the same. We're really lucky. We have a beautiful nursery, which is kind of forest school-esque. So really embracing like the mountains and the landscape and everything that we have around us. On a personal level, it's definitely been a big journey for me. My partner, or my husband, also travels for work. So he's away like a fair amount of time, not months and months on end, but a week here and there, maybe 2-3 weeks at a time. And I think I learned actually kind of the hard way, literally just like reflecting and looking back on the previous year. My little one's now 2. So in the first couple of years, I guess, I think I really isolated myself. I think that shock into motherhood is so strong, and you have no idea how it's really going to affect your physical self, your emotional self, your mental self until you're in it. And I think my advice for anyone who is kind of, well, in your potential previous situation, like thinking about moving abroad and thinking about starting a family, is really like get those, I don't want to use self-care because it's kind of overused nowadays, but like that kind of well-being base sorted, I guess. So really like, okay, what do I need to look after myself first and foremost, because I'm actually the priority, even though it's very easy to put the priority on the baby. but the mom is actually the priority, right? Like, as you were saying in your previous example, the midwife is saying, okay, no, but look after yourself first because they can wait. And it's things like, I don't know, like reaching out and finding one friend that you can like maybe go for a coffee with just to break up the week. Maybe just making sure that you get out every single day, just get some fresh air on your face, even though you don't feel like it. I definitely found out the hard way. Like, I'm pretty sure I had postpartum depression, probably linked to previous depression anyway. So I think I was kind of susceptible to it. And I didn't do that. I didn't leave the house some days. I didn't even get dressed some days. I didn't shower some days. And these tiny little things, which are so easy just to say, no, no, it's not important. No, it's fine. Like, oh, I just don't have the energy. Or my excuse was always like, oh, I just don't have the mindset to go and talk a different language right now. Like, I can't even think in English, let alone in another language. But all these little excuses add up to a really big shift. And before you know it, you're just stuck in this like little dark bubble, which is really, really hard to break out of. So I think there's always going to be some kind of barrier, whether you're living in a different country or not during motherhood, but just tuning in and being like, okay, no, what do I need? Like, just go to your local cafe, buy yourself a cup of tea and just sit with the baby breastfeeding, or I don't know, go to the park, or just get out and just shake up your environment a little bit, because those tiny changes just make you feel so much better, I think.
They really do. And whenever I hear that, I always think of like, you know, way back in the day, back in caveman days and whatever, like we were outside all the time. It's not normal to be stuck in this little tiny concrete box constantly. So it's no wonder it has a big impact on your mental health. And it's so good for the child as well, for babies to get out and to see the world. And yeah, you really do just have to make sure that you concentrate on yourself. Like you said with the sleep, even now, I listen to a yoga nidra every single night to get me to sleep, because I got into the habit, yeah, when she was a baby, because I had to, because my brain was constantly like, is she crying? Is she crying? I had to keep listening out. So I had to switch it off. And the only way I could switch it off, it was to listen to a nidra. But even now, I mean, my daughter's 8 now. So even now, I still will listen to it. But it's become like my little bedtime routine. And it's what helps me calm my nervous system to help me, you know, live better. And I think all these things your children end up picking up from you as well. So if you end up staying in constantly, they're going to think that that's normal, and they're going to want to stay in all the time, and you're not going to want them to. You're going to be like, come on, go out, get some fresh air.
Yeah, completely. I mean, what I found with mine is she has so much energy. She's like her father, like she's just crazy. And it actually made my life so much more complicated, because she had all of this unspent energy, was kind of getting super nervous about being stuck inside, and everything about like trying to get her to sleep or trying to get her to eat or whatever it was just like a way bigger battle than it would have been if I'd just left the house and just gone out and been more sociable and really kind of looked after myself more. No?
Yeah, definitely. Is the community that you've moved to now then, are they quite like a close community? Because I feel like whenever I picture Spain or like anywhere around there, I always just think of these lovely communities that love kids, that, you know, want to be involved.
Yeah, now I think we've made a really good base of friends. My husband is actually from Barcelona originally, so he already had connections here. So that was really great. But I think kind of becoming a mom, and then when they start maybe going to the social activities or even going to nursery, that's really when you start forming those deeper like mom friendships. And now, yeah, we have a really good like social community. It's more, I'd say it's more like people our age rather than like wider big families. Here, people tend to have more what is it, kind of transient jobs in a way. Like there's a lot of people who work in hospitality or have seasonal work because we have ski stations nearby, and so it's a bit more fluid. So it's not like this constant huge community around us, but there's just like-minded, open-minded people who have traveled a lot in their world and are really kind of interested to learn from different cultures and all that kind of stuff. who we can just hang out with. And yeah, everyone's definitely really in touch with nature, really in touch with being outdoors all the time and making the most of the place we live.
Yeah, it's so important to have people who you can talk to about parenting as well. So to have parenting friends from, yeah, nursery or school, it really helps to make you see that you're not alone. Like everyone's going through the same thing. I mean, obviously there might be a bit of the language barrier, but yeah, it's definitely really great to get yourself out there and make some friends.
Yeah, yeah, hugely. I think without that, I would be thinking about probably moving, honestly, because
Yeah.
motherhood is so isolating anyway. And like you don't really notice that, I guess, but when in the early like days of motherhood, it's so isolating, or early months, I should say. And like you say, to be able to be like, okay, she hasn't slept like all night, like what happened? Like, does yours do this too? Or they haven't eaten, or they're only eating raisins, like is this normal? Do I have to worry? Like what's going on? It's just having that kind of sounding board to be like, okay, we're not alone, we are all in this together, we can support each other. And yeah, have that kind of one-to-one connection as well, because there's so much information online now. There's so many like Instagram accounts about mothering and tips and how to do it or how not to do it and everything, that it's so overwhelming. You kind of like log on and just trying to search for something, and then you're suddenly like, well, okay, no, I can't go down this rabbit hole. So it's just, yeah, it's really special to have that small group of friends that you can just go to and say, okay, why is she doing this?
Yes. Yeah, definitely. That's one of the worst things you can do, isn't it? Go onto Google, type in baby related stuff, because it all comes up with a negative first and then you get into a panic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the best reasons as well to have mum friends, is just so that they can calm your mind and know that it's fine, it's normal most of the time. So is it, I guess you said that your husband goes away quite a lot. Like that must be quite hard to manage yourself as well and your yoga practice with your child. How do you manage all of that at once?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to say I have the perfect formula, and then I get up at like 6 a.m. and I meditate for 1 hour before my child wakes up, and it's all just like glory. But no, that definitely does not happen. I get woken up by her walking into our bedroom now, because we've taken off the side of the cot, so she's free. So I think the honest answer to that is just being really compassionate. Honestly, like I've had such a big lesson in being compassionate to myself and thinking, okay, I don't have to live by these rules. I don't have to compare myself to other people, even to other yoga teachers, and say, okay, my personal practice is not good enough, or I'm not being a good enough parent, or I'm not being a good enough wife, whatever it is. Every day is so unique and so different. And in motherhood, you have so many curveballs that you just can't plan for. So I just try and incorporate little practices where I can. I have a kind of like little morning framework that I try and follow on a daily-ish basis. It's definitely not every day because life happens. But it includes like a little bit of meditation, maybe an affirmation, or a kind of intention for the day. Some kind of action. So whether that's just going out for a walk, maybe that's doing a 20-minute yoga flow, maybe that's just a few stretches, whatever it is, just trying to move my body a little bit. I have also joined a CrossFit gym, which is like kind of terrifying, but also just lovely to have that 1 hour for me when I can fit it in. Again, being really compassionate, because sometimes I can't go, and that's life. And then finishing it off with some gratitude. So just trying to think of three really simple things that I'm grateful for in that day, or even if I don't do it at the start of the day, then at the end of the day. And that just helps me just to stay a little bit grounded, stay more present, calm, kind of handle all of the stresses of life, I guess.
Yes. Yeah. And that's amazing, because it is so hard to fit in. I know gratitude practice is something that I'm working on as well. And it's such a powerful practice, because yeah, your thoughts are always, I read this thing once and it was like, your brain's always trying to protect you. So negative thoughts are going to overpower anything positive, because your body's trying to protect you. So to practice gratitude, like even 10 times a day, like whenever you can, it shifts your brain to start thinking more of the positive. And especially being a newer mum, especially in a different country. And yeah, you need some more of that positivity coming in for sure.
Yeah, completely. It actually creates new neural networks. Like the more you do it, the more you kind of actually like rewire your brain, literally, which I just think is just incredible. Like we're so powerful, yet we really don't take it for granted at all. And it's really easy when in like motherhood and the challenges of living abroad and stuff, it's really easy to fall into that victim trap and think, okay, why has this happened to me? Like honestly, the other day I came back from being out with some friends playing really late. It's summertime, so now the schedules are going a little bit like away. We're not so rigid. I was by myself, my husband was away, and our studio was completely flooded. And I just looked at it and I was just like, oh my gosh. I was like, I have to get her into bed, like bathed and into bed. And it's already like way past her bedtime. And then I'm really tired and I haven't eaten like basically anything all day. And I've got to figure out how to like get rid of this flood. And I was just like, okay, I could have had just like a massive meltdown and gone into the kind of like that fear state, right? Of being like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. Why is this happening to me? This is the worst thing. This is so unfair, etc., etc. I was just like, okay, we're just going to take it one step at a time and it's all going to be fine. And I just did like methodically. I was just like, right, okay, we're going to get her down. We're going to get her into bed. When she's asleep, we're going to come back up. I'm going to make myself some food. I'm going to sit down and enjoy the food. And then I'm going to put on some music and then I'm going to sort out the flood. And like that just completely shifted my whole evening. Basically, it could have been like the worst evening, not ever, but a really bad evening. And it just completely shifted into something that I felt like really in control, really connected, really like honoring my space, I guess, what I needed, and kind of empowered that I could face that challenge, which I think gratitude really, really, really helps with, because when we have those challenges, it's kind of flipping the script on it and looking at it and being like, okay, what am I actually learning from the situation? Like, what can I like positively gain from the situation, and not look on it as I'm a victim in a way.
Yes. Yeah, I love that, because also it's looking at the worst and thinking, what is the worst that could happen? Like that flood ain't going anywhere. You're just going to be hangry with a overtired child if you dealt with it then. It's like, right, let's just wait, sort myself out and then deal with it. So yeah, you dealt with that amazingly.
Thanks.
Definitely.
It's because of yoga. Without yoga, there's no way I would have been that resilient. Like
Yes. Yeah, definitely. So speaking of yoga, do you
yeah.
teach online at the moment?
So I'm just starting to get back into teaching because yeah, with like postpartum and my husband being away, I basically became full-time mom. And now it's like now my time, now she's at nursery, she has a regular time. I have like a few hours during the day to really dedicate to myself. So I'm starting to build a primarily online business. I'm dabbling my toes to get back into doing some more presential stuff locally as well. But it's just trying to find the right audience, because there's obviously like the language barrier. I could teach in Catalan, but it's not the same as your mother language. It's just, you can't express yourself in the same way. So yeah, I'm basically wanting to build a more of an online business, actually focused on supporting high achieving mothers who are probably feeling everything that we've discussed today and more, and also particularly those who a lot of the work on is now online, and so we're kind of driven by this pull of the digital devices basically. And I know previously, kind of my pre-yoga days, social media was also a way for me to relax, I guess, kind of like switch off the brain, just pick up and mindlessly scroll, and that's honestly like the worst thing that you can do for your nervous system. So I want to work with those high achieving moms who are having kind of those demands of the career, the demands of family, the constant digital pull, the distractions, always on situation, and the nervous system has just like exploded. Help them to kind of find that inner peace.
I love that. I love that, because that's exactly what I do as well. And it is so needed. We need more people like us out there that's like spreading this message for sure. So
Yeah,
once all this is up and running,
yeah.
if you let me have your links, I'm going to link it down below. So anybody listening, if you're interested in Clare Yoga, the link is in the description wherever you're watching or listening to this. And thank you so much for joining me. Before I end, is there anything that you would like to share to help any mums listening right now?
Yeah, I guess my one little piece of advice, if you're maybe listening to this and thinking, oh my gosh, I really need a break, I guess the simplest thing that you can do for yourself today is just stop and breathe. That's it. Just literally just stop wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and you can do this literally anywhere, and just take one breath and just know that you do not have to do it all. You're already doing so much, and your so much is more than enough. And by giving yourself that space to just simply be and connect to your breath, it's such a huge gift that you can give to yourself and then also to your family, because it allows you to go into life from a calmer, a more connected, a more peaceful place.
Yes, I love that. And kids can pick up on your aura and everything as well. So when you're calm, you're radiating that calmness into them. So yeah, I love
Yeah,
that.
hugely.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining me. It's been so nice to chat.
Thank you. Likewise. Yeah, it was great. Thanks for having